moving on. We want to meet the enemy now. So, on the enemy side of things, the enemy is that force of resistance that trauma uses. I talk about the hidden forces and the common forces inside of the book that pull people into the ordinary world. Trauma is a hidden force, right? That stuff that naturally happens to them where we had a terrible experience. And trauma, every single human being, by the way, has experienced trauma in their life. Trauma can be a car accident. The way that trauma is actually experienced from a biological level is it's a burst of cortisol in one moment in time, okay? And when you have a burst of cortisol in your mind, you fuse a whole bunch of different wires together. And that's why when people say they get triggered, it can be something that has nothing to do with, that past traumatic experience for you, but somehow the thing got associated inside of your mind. And now when someone yells loudly, that thing just triggers you in some way. And what it's doing is it's bringing you back to that emotional state that you experienced a while ago. And you don't even recognize that it's being brought back to it, but it's bringing you back to the emotional experience of it, right? So stress, anxiety, fear, rage, whatever it might be for someone, okay? So the enemy likes to pull us into the ordinary world. It's where comfort zone sits, tries to keep you safe, not put yourself out there. Uses all of those different forces to help bring us down. And the enemy itself is cunning. When you ask yourself, what is the enemy using to keep you from trying? Is it doubt? Is it worry? Is it self-judgment? And self-judgment is typically based on past experience that you've got. Is it avoidance? Is it fear, possibly? Is it not showing up on a field like you want to? Not showing up at all, possibly, so you're completely even avoiding, so the enemy's like even just not even allowing you to make that plunge off into trying to get into acting or go do stand-up comedy or the things that you want. The enemy is it's ruthless. Like, it just finds its way to stop so many people, doubting you that you've got to wait until you've got it all figured out, right? You've got to consume more information. You can't start until you've got it all figured out, which is super insidious if you're an entrepreneur or you're a creative type, because the answer is you'll be waiting forever. Reality is, so let's take a look at how it does that. Let's take a look at how the alter ego shows up and kicks the enemy to the curb at each level of the alter ego model. So remember, your alter ego is stronger inside of the core driver. So the enemy says, you're not meant for that. After all, nobody from your family has ever done that before. So that's at the core driver's layer. Your alter ego helps you move past that resistance and says, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for a greater cause. I'm doing this to show others in my tribe what can be done. I'm doing this to honor the people who came before me. So that can be a part of the origin story of that heroic identity that you're bringing out there, okay? What about at the belief layer? You don't believe in yourself because if you just take a look at your past, you've quit on a lot of things. Just insidious little whispers that the enemy will use. I'm a powerful force for change. I love the challenge. I can't wait to see what happens. Again, that's tapping into some of those intrinsic motivators of exploration then, okay? I can't wait to see what happens. That's exploration. That's like mad scientist in the lab. That's why I was encouraging you before about when you adopt that idea of one of those alter egos for just the class itself and how you approach the class. Now you're tapping into exploration and discovery and the mad scientist in the lab, just trying to figure things out, okay? At the action layer. So the enemy says, you don't have the skills or knowledge, so you should probably just wait until you do more research, work on it more, finally get it perfect. Imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome at the action layer there. Failure is a block, I turn it into a stepping stone, right? So you can either get buried by the blocks or you just say, no, I'm going to take that and I'm going to step on top of it, right? I've got so many allies waiting to help me. another thing an alter ego can come back with. And at the field of play layer, you don't want to make a fool of yourself, or you're sure you want to take such a huge risk. You'd hate for everyone to see what happens if you fail, right? I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for a greiter cause. I'm doing this to show others in my tribe that can be done. Again, you know, you can use the exact same stuff that you're doing at the core drivers, but just to honor the people who came before me, to battle that narrative that's out there on the field. So my point about, and we're going to unpack the enemy even more later on, where the point is at any point in time, there's always a dual choice for someone, right? We can shrink into that shadow world and that ordinary world and believe it as if it's true, from, you know, the enemy and the forces of resistance pulling you there, trying to keep you safe and not making you look like a fool and all this kind of stuff. But that's not, those are beliefs, those aren't truths, right? Because there's, how many of you get inspired by someone else that's gone out and maybe they fell flat on their face, but at least they tried. 99.999% of you, unless you're a psychopath, is going to say those are some of the most inspiring videos that you see, whether it's someone who gets on stage for America's Got Talent or any one of those shows, and you see them finally overcome resistance and get themselves out there after wanting to apply for the show 5 years in a row, and they finally get out there. That's inspiring to us, right? Well, you can play that same role instead of shirking into the shadow and the ordinary world, getting out there. So this next kind of little mission that I've got for you is one to really challenge you. So I could say easily that this is an optional mission for you, but I think because this is all about helping you get onto the field of play and experimenting and being playful with something, it would be very easy for some people who think that do not take this attitude. I used to have this attitude when I was younger, and it is a terrible mindset, which is, oh, I already know how to do that, or I'm not going to do that. That's just silly. That's be silly. No. What would your childlike alter ego say, or what would the child version of you do in this instance? When I go and unpack this next little mission for you, all of you, just as a little exercise, I want you to just listen to me say what I'm going to say as if it's that 7-year-old self, right? So now you're sitting there, mom and dad are reading a book to you, and you're reading the story of someone who's just went and did this, and they found this new creative self on the other side, and now they're inspired to do bigger and bigger things. Okay, so if you did that, just play with me here. For this mission, I'm going to ask you to videotape yourself giving 2 versions of the same speech. Imagine that you have given a 5-minute speech to 100,000 of your fans, peers, and mentors in a huge auditorium. Video yourself giving that speech. Put your iPhone up somewhere and just give a speech on whatever topic. Could be about your favorite chocolate bars. The content doesn't matter as much for me. It's about getting yourself out there, all right? And video yourself giving that speech itself, okay? So you give that speech, you videotape yourself giving that speech. Massive bonus points for someone is if you record yourself doing that speech as that heroic self, or you step into an alter ego and you do it, and you step into yourself doing a speech as this owl mindset, trapped self. How would they give that speech? Overact if you want. Play with this idea, okay? And if you do it, you can upload the video, whether it's to Dropbox. This is the bonus points for you, bonus part of the mission. You can upload that video to a Dropbox account, upload it to YouTube, make it unlisted so it's not across the ether or whatever, and drop it inside of the group. Don't upload it into Facebook. Drop the links in there. In fact, we're going to have a post that you can drop that link into the post just to keep it nice and clean and neat and tidy. So Karen, you're listening, make sure we have a post that's dedicated to just people uploading their superhero stage presence video. And yeah, so Rate yourself then when you go through it, how nervous you were, how you think you performed, how you think you sounded to others, how your body language reflected confidence, poise, and possibly authority, if possible. Now, on that, with use of if you, to use the alter egos, if you did it again and you imagine yourself as Wonder Woman or Superman or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King or Oprah, pick your favorite person who inspires you, video yourself giving that speech, and rate yourself again. Okay. So like I said before, gang, mental toughness is earned, not learned. So we're unpacking and we're doing a bunch of exercises to help us get clarity so that we can really help develop a version of ourselves that's an identity that's custom built to help us win on whatever field is challenging us right now. But doing something like this helps you earn mental toughness, because the exercises, that's a learning part. This is about earning something, okay? And at the end of the day, I'm a coach that gets people onto the field to play. And so you might not be able to right now, you go like, why am I doing the video? Like, I thought I was da-da-da-da, or, I don't do speeches. I get all that. I get that has nothing to do with the roles that you might be playing in life right now. I get all that. But as someone that has helped Olympians get on podiums, helped athletes get drafted into pro sports, have long careers in sports, helped entrepreneurs, get out of their own way and lead stronger businesses and grow stronger businesses, I need you to just place a little bit of trust in the reason why I'm getting you to do this. And the real answer is that you have no idea what's waiting on the other side of you doing this, okay? So just as a quick reminder, so the alter ego is your deepest, truest self. Going back to what I talked about at the very beginning, the alter ego is the part that helps to unveil, unleash, reveal the heroic you. You're just going to be acting through the idea of someone and something else, okay? It's not about being inauthentic. It's not about being fake. If your motivations are to do things to deceive others or to trick other people, that is being inauthentic. This is about you being very intentional and saying, you know what, this is how I've been showing up in that area. And I defy to believe that's actually me. That isn't me. And how I know that's not me is it's giving me a lot of pain and angst, or a lot of inner mental turmoil or emotional turmoil. That's a sign that isn't really you. But because you're deciding, you're creating that version of yourself and unleashing the qualities. Again, like I said, the qualities are already there. We're just tapping into the idea of someone and something else to help us grease the slide and make it that much faster. Okay. So, your alter ego is really, again, just about defining how you want to show up, defining the superpowers and borrowing the characteristics of an existing person or animal or character or superhero or thing, machine even, to help activate that heroic self. So we want to get to defining those on the field. We want to get to defining who shows up on the field of play in the coming master classes, but right now we're unpacking how we have been. So quick little lesson recap. We'd have identified your different fields of play with this. We understand the reasons the alter ego effect works and why it's different from anything else you've tried. Understood the 4 layers of the alter ego model so that we understand how we choose to move from the ordinary world to the extraordinary world. Identified if you're showing up with an owl mindset or a wow mindset, and understood the difference between the ordinary world and the extraordinary world and what it means to live in each of them. I'm also going to be putting up some videos inside of the members area for you to go watch other people, inspiring people in interviews, unpack some of their story and how they've used this idea in the way that they've transformed themselves.